I wanted to be at Texas State. I chose to be at Texas State. I'm from Texas. That was important to me. I always knew if the right guy got this job, you better watch out.
You better watch out. This is Win Now or Get Bent, episode 172. If you don't already know, I'm Kev Tardello, coming to you on Monday, September 30th, and we've got a lot to go over. Yuck. That game on Saturday was not fun. Bobcats lose to the Sam Houston State Bearkats 40-39. Jumped out to a 22-0 lead in the first quarter. Had a 39-21 lead in the third quarter. Squandered it. Couldn't hold on to it. Bearcats crawled their way back in. Beat the Bobcats. It was a rivalry that was dormant for over a decade, but not in Huntsville. They were ready for that one, and they were ready to brag after it too. That's a salty bunch. Shout out to the Bearcat bunch. Well, we have stuff to go over off the field as well. Has Ben Bell redshirting? Are the Bobcats going to the Mountain West Conference? Lots to go over this episode, as well as a game recap. Oh, and also the Bobcats are playing on Thursday. They play the Troy Trojans. Short week. Lots to go over this episode. But before we get there, this episode is brought to you by First Lockhart National Bank. As the largest financial institution headquartered in Caldwell County, First Lockhart National Bank expanded to San Marcos in 2018 and opened a state-of-the-art branch on Hunter Road in 2020. For the past 6 years, FLNB has provided a wide range of financial services that have significantly improved the quality of life for the San Marcos community and beyond. Whether you need personal or business checking accounts, business loans, or home mortgages, they've got you covered. Plus, they offer innovative services like video banking, business banking, and a top-of-the-line mobile banking app. FLNB is also a huge supporter of Texas State football, standing out as one of the largest initial investors in NIL deals for Bobcats players. Be sure to follow them on Twitter, @FirstLockhart, and on Instagram, @FirstLockhart. Shout out to my guy, Gil Hodges, Senior Vice President at FLNB in MLS number 2475765, a proud Texas State grad and a diehard fan. We are thrilled to be partnering with Gil and FLNB all season long. You can find them at 2507 Hunter Road. That's 2507 Hunter Road, or give them a call at 512-504-7422. Again, that's 512-504-7422. First Lockhart National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions may vary. Hey, Bobcat Nation. Looking for your next real estate move? McNabb and Company Real Estate Services has been proudly Bobcat owned and operated for over 15 years. They're your go-to team for buying, selling, investing, and managing properties and everything in between. Whether you're a fan or an alum, they've got the local expertise and full service support you need. Call them today at 512-667-9129. That's 512-667-9129, or visit them at mcnabbandco.com. That's MCNABB, mcnabbandco.com. McNabb and Company, where Bobcats find their home. Give them a follow on Instagram, Facebook, and X at McNabb and Co. MCNABB, McNabb and Co. Shout out to Monica over at McNabb. She's been a day one Tech State supporter. Now she's supporting us, jumping on the pod this season. Can't thank her enough. Check them out again, mcnabbandco.com, MCNABB, mcnabbandco.com. All right, just two at the top. So let's get to these Bobcats. We'll start with Ben Bell. Ben Bell, is he taking a red shirt? So if you watch the game on Saturday, number 33 wasn't out there for Texas State. It's on the sideline, wearing a jersey, still supporting the team. It's unclear what the situation was. Everyone assumed injury. It started to come out on Sunday that it seemed like he might be taking a red shirt. I was able to talk to some people that are pretty confident that he is, although it turns out, once I put that out there, other reports are saying, including G.J. Kinney at the Sunbelt Zoom press conference on Monday morning, saying that it's up in the air. He might still come back. He's mulling the decision over. Seems like it might be an injury popped up, and they are trying to decide whether or not this is an injury where Ben Bell would be best suited shutting it down for the year so he can come back healthy next year. That's what they're saying the situation is, and I hope that is the situation. And it's not something like we saw with Matt Sluka at UNLV, the quarterback at UNLV who took a red shirt because he wasn't happy with his NIL deal. I don't think that's the situation. We're talking about Ben Bell, who's been here for 3 years now. This is his third season, came over from Louisiana Tech. stayed during a coaching switch. Spavital is the one who recruited him here. He stayed for the Kinney regime. He racked up 10 sacks last season. Pretty sure if he would have hopped in the portal, he would have had plenty of suitors. Chose not to do that. Chose to come back. So I think there's still potentially still a chance he comes back, because I don't think this is a situation where he's shutting it down for an IL. I could see him shutting it down to preserve his body, because his body is his investment. And so if he's preserving that for whatever he's thinking in the offseason, whether that's coming back to Texas State, preserving his body to transfer somewhere he perceives as bigger, if he's saving his body to go to the NFL, not sure, not sure. I know that obviously him going to the game tells you a lot that he's not quitting on this team. It's not a Sluka situation, but it might be a business decision situation where he's looking at his future and he wants to make the best decision. This isn't. I highly doubt it's someone who is bailing on his team. But this is college football in 2024, though. I mean, it's players do have a lot more power when it comes to these situations. But I know he's not a mercenary where he's trying to go play for another team every single year. Like I said, he's been here 3 years. He cares about this team. He's a captain for a reason. So I mean, I I I could still see a world where he does come back, but he is mulling over that decision on the red shirt. People I talked to were pretty confident that it seemed like it was a foregone conclusion that he is taking the red shirt, but hopefully that's wrong. It's up to Ben Bell. He has a decision to make, it seems. And obviously we'll ask about it at the press conference on Tuesday, along with a few other things we'll ask about, like, is Texas State going to the Mountain West Conference? So, if you've listened to the previous 3 episodes, we've talked a lot about realignment, a lot of different variations. Is it Pac-12, AAC, Mountain West? It seems like Mountain West is the one that is starting to emerge. A lot of reports came out Saturday during the game. Come on, everybody. It's a bad time for drop all those news nuggets. But it seems that the Mountain West has sent an offer to Texas State. Texas State is considering it. The Pac-12, the interest in the Pac-12 seemed to very much be on the Texas State side, wanting to join the Pac-12. Oh, it doesn't appear it was fully reciprocated. The Pac-12 considered it. They have not given an offer. So the Bobcats are looking for another option. I'll say this about it, it's obvious. If it happens, it's polarizing to choose the Mountain West over the Sun Belt. And obviously, it's we would assume more money, $2 million a year to be in the Sun Belt. We saw the Mountain West is around $4 million a year. So I understand the want for more money. It's not a very regionally friendly conference. It's not necessarily. It's a pretty unsexy conference as far as conference realignment is concerned on where a lot of fans wanted to go, whether that was the Pac-12 or AAC. The 4 best teams from the Mountain West just left for the Pac-12. So it's a lot is up in the air with that conference. Not and obviously during this whole situation, I haven't gotten a ton of details. I don't have sources on this one where it's they during negotiations, details of the deal don't want to come out. People don't want to mess things up. So I don't know exactly what's being offered to Texas State and why it is being considered. Why exactly what's going into it. So I imagine that they have checked it all out. They've looked at it and they like what they've seen. If this is what they're leaning towards the Mountain West, I know right off the bat, I don't like it. I'd rather them stay in the Sun Belt. But I understand the want for more money. Just feels like moving to the Mountain West after not getting the Pac-12 invite. It's a move to make a move when you don't really. I don't know if it's fully if it's that necessary, but I'll wait to hear it out. And if that's the new reality for Texas State, I'll hear it out. I don't love it initially, but I'm willing to listen to it. So we don't want to spend too much time on that because we have to talk about a game and then another game in a couple days for the Bobcats. So let's switch gears. We'll keep you posted on Ben Bell and the Mountain West Conference. Of course, anything concrete pops up, we'll throw out some content and keep everybody informed. But let's talk about the Sam Houston State game on Saturday. I talked a little bit about it at the top, where the Bobcats jumped out to a 22-0 lead. and that slowly evaporated. I wouldn't say that slowly. They evaporated quickly in the second half. I mean, that first quarter when they were up 22 nothing, was feeling fantastic. I was like, all right, well, I can just kind of go into autopilot for the rest of this game, right? It seemed like that's what the coaching staff thought as well, going up 22 to nothing. I mean, you ended that quarter. Sam Houston State had negative 17 rushing yards, negative 17 rushing yards at the end of the first quarter. By the time they got to the fourth quarter, they were over 200 yards rushing. So between the second and third quarter, they let a lot of yards go. I know usually when I do these recaps, I go through the scoring and we go through it all individually, individual stats. But I feel like that would take a lot of time, and it would take a lot of time away from what I want to talk about. And that's the things I didn't like about this game. There was quite a bit. There was quite a bit from the beginning to the end, even after the game. There's quite a bit to talk about. So let's start with the 22 to nothing lead in the first quarter. It was looking great in that first quarter. Texas State, they received the kickoff. They score on that opening drive. You get a scoop and score by Kenny Haynes, which was great. I've talked about Kenny Haynes before. I've been waiting so long to see him get out there. He's finally getting a good chance this season, and he gets a scoop and score. That was great to see. We saw the swinging gate 2-point conversion. They did it again. They lined up in. I said, no way they'll snap this. No way. No way they're going to do this again. They did it again. This time it was Shipley passing to Nunez for 2 points. They were rolling. They were rolling. McLeod, 2 touchdown passes in the first quarter. It looked great. The problem with this is that they keep doing this. They keep doing this where they'll jump ahead. We've seen it. We've seen it against Lamar. We've seen it against Arizona State, and now we've seen it against Sam Houston State. UTSA, that was a pretty sound game all the way through. I mean, I guess they did get outscored in the second half from 3 to 7. So, I mean, it's hard to gauge that when UTSA only put up 10. But those other 3 games, they jump out ahead. Even the Lamar one that they won, they jumped out ahead and they let them crawl back into it. It's like they exacerbate everything in their arsenal in that first quarter. By the second quarter, it's like it's all done. It's like they're eating a meal. Like, think about like a football game. It's 4 quarters. So the 4 course meal, what do you got? You got bread, appetizers, and a little meal, and then an even bigger meal with the course. You keep filling up on bread in the first quarter. They don't have an appetite for the other 3 courses. Keep eating all that bread, and they're not ready to do anything for the rest of the game. They're full. They're docile. They've expended themselves too early. It's a 4 course meal. Sit back. Don't eat the bread. I'm good on bread. Don't want to fill up on bread. Gotta play this entire game. Jumping out to these leads and then losing them. It's more aggravating. It's more aggravating than just losing the game, because it shows like they can jump out in front of this team and they can't hold on to it. But penalties, another game with penalties. 11 for 88 yards in this one. It would have been over 100 yards, but they had 2 penalties that were right by the goal line. So they were half the distance to the goal. That would have been over 100 yards in penalties, 11 penalties. I will say there was one penalty that they called on, of all people, Ish Mahdi, for unsportsmanlike conduct. And it was just people getting off a pile, and he barely moved a Sam Houston player, and that Sam Houston player flopped. I had my binoculars right on it, and they threw a flag immediately. That was the one. That's one where I was like, okay, I don't know about that one. And you can say what you want about the James Neal targeting as well in the first half, whether you think that was it or not. By the letter of the law, it was targeting. So I understand that, but this is the second game with double-digit penalties that they've had. That first one against Lamar, they had 16. This is an issue that creeps up pretty often with this team going back to last season, where all of a sudden it gets really sloppy and there's a ton of penalties. They got to correct this, and the way you correct it is discipline. Discipline. A guy makes a penalty, roughing the passer. Josh Eaton is yapping after the call, and they throw a flag. Put him on the bench. Accountability. This guy's got to sit on the bench when this stuff happens. It's the only way it's going to fix it. You take away the one thing they care about the most. It's playing time. You take it away. Accountability. You need to start hitting the bench when bad things happen. Because even when I think about the muffed punts with Cole Wilson, he muffed the punt, gave the ball back to Sam Houston. Then he's out there for the next punt. He muffed it again. He recovered the second one, but he muffed it again. Why was he out there for the second one? Discipline, accountability, discipline, accountability. I mean, even the refs, they weren't doing any favors for GJ Kinney. They do the thing that they do that I don't talk about enough, where they'll have a guy go down and, oh, I have a cramp, and whether he's injured or not, we don't know. We can't prove the intent, but guys sure are cramping up quite a bit, even in a dome. And it happened right at the beginning of the third quarter. A player cramped up, and it seemed like it should have been oh, okay, it's an injury timeout. Let your guys come out. And the ref charged GJ Kinney a timeout right at the beginning of the second half. He saw that, and I could tell that was a move where that ref, he was tired of it. He was tired of seeing it, and he hit him with a penalty. And that's something you got to take into account when you have these guys, when they go down, you're trying to slow down the offense a little bit. Their offense is going. So you have a guy, oh, I have a cramp, and lets you slow down and readjust your personnel and move some other guys in, and it buys you time. But everybody knows you're doing it. Everybody knows you're doing it so much that at the end of that game against Sam Houston State, when Bobby Crosby goes down with a real injury, you had Sam Houston fans at the game booing that injury because they had seen all these whether or not they're injuries or not. I can't prove the intent. I can't say or not, but people know it's happening. Even in the press box, when Crosby went down, there were Sam Houston State people that were just like, here we go again. It's what they said. And I had my binoculars on Crosby, and I saw him actually get hurt. And I was like, no, this is a legit one. Bobby Crosby really hurt himself there. And if everyone is recognizing it, guess who else is recognizing it? The refs. And guess what? They're not going to like it. So they're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. That little game, it's not working. It's not working. The missed field goal attempt. Let's talk about that one. The missed field goal attempt. Mason Shipley, he had a 60-yard field goal right before halftime, which was incredible. They lined up for it, and I crossed my arms, and I said, no way, not happening, and he nailed it. Shout out to Mason Shipley. But then 6 minutes and some change left in the game. It's a 2-point game. Bobcats can kick a field goal, make it a 5-point game from 36 yards out, and they missed the field goal. So let's preface this one a little bit. Right before that fourth down where they kick a field goal, it's 3rd and 10. They snap the ball. They run a 4-yard out route to the sideline on 3rd and 10. Now, this means the receiver ran 4 yards, cut towards the sideline, caught the pass, went right out of bounds. That's a play you draw up just for 4 yards. Just for 4 yards. Get out of bounds, stop the clock. Why would you do that on 3rd and 10 when you need a first down? If you're trying to get a touchdown, GJ Kinney, this coaching staff, they're aggressive. They don't like field goals. On 3rd and 10, that's didn't seem like that's what they wanted to do. Either they didn't know it was 3rd down, or there was a miscommunication between the offensive coordinator and the head coach about whether or not they wanted to go for it on that 4th down. And then they run that play. You see a whole lot of discussion going on. You see Mason Shipley lining up for a field goal, and then you see a timeout, icing their own kicker before a 36-yard kick, which he went on to miss. So whatever that miscommunication was, either they didn't realize it was 3rd down when it was 3rd down, or they thought, okay, we're going to go for it on half the side thought we were going for it on 4th down. The other side was thinking they were going to go for the first down on 3rd down so that they could get a touchdown and add to the score. But it's not what happened. They ended up icing their own kicker. They had to talk about it. When they came out of the timeout, he missed it. So that left, it was 6 minutes and some change left. Sam Houston State ball. Bobcats have a 2-point lead. Sam Houston State methodically just runs the clock down with 6 minutes left in the game. 6 minutes left in the game. They get all the way down to 6 seconds before they kick their field goal to take the lead, 40-39. The fact that they can ice the game with 6 minutes left is not great. It's pretty embarrassing that a team could do that, because that's not something I would be confident in Texas State doing. Are you gonna milk this clock for 6 minutes? They were able to do that to end that game. That one was one of the more disheartening scenarios. And they ran, and on that drive with Sam Houston State, they ran out of timeouts with a minute left on defense. They're out of timeouts. A minute left in the game. We talked about at the beginning of that second half, that timeout got burned The ref just awarded it to them, didn't give them the injury timeout, gave them a real timeout. And then they used that other one because there was miscommunication lining up for a 36-yard field goal, which they ended up missing out of a timeout. So those two timeouts are gone. Sam Houston State's going on this long drive, wasting the clock away. With 6 minutes left, they're able to waste the clock away. Bobcats are holding on for dear life on that last timeout until 1 minute left, and they finally have to use it, have to stop the bleeding somewhere, but that leaves you with no timeouts. If you're going to get the ball back, you're going to have no timeouts. And they do get the ball back, and they tried to do one of those lateral plays, and it didn't work. So then when the game ended, the school song's playing, the fight song, and there's barely any players out there. There's like a handful. I had one person on Twitter tell me there was eight players out there doing the song, which is, I mean, have some pride. Where's the culture in this? And then the press conference after the game. That's the last thing that I have, because it's really all the other stuff I talked about. That's the stuff that matters. The press conference deal. This part doesn't matter. But if you saw on Twitter, none of the Texas State media got to go to the Texas State press conference because this game ends, and usually we all left right from the press box down to the field level to prepare for this press conference. We go to the visitor media room. The people in the visitor media room tell us, oh, it's going to be at the visiting locker room. So we go to the visiting locker room, and we are told the press conference is done. The game had been over for maybe 10 minutes. Maybe 10 minutes. There's times I've ended games where I've waited for 30 minutes waiting for this post-game press conference. I mean, even after I was told this press conference is done, it was another 10 minutes before Casey Keeler started his. There was one other media person available at this press conference. Now, I want to say this. This is not GJ Kinney ducking the media. That's not what that is. This is usually, especially on a road game, there's a media relations employee, an SID, somebody is leading the media to the press conference. There was nobody to be found. We were leading ourselves. I was leading. It was me. It's the Daily Record, student reporters. There was a lot of Texas State media that drove 2.5 hours to be at that game. And we don't get to be in that post-game press conference. And now for my article for the San Antonio Express News, I have to have a quote or you can't submit it. So I went and quoted Casey Keeler for that one. So it was fine. Like it's fine. As far as like from my personal, I don't take it as a personal affront or anything like that. I think it's indicative of miscommunication, even off the field. Should have been there. You're talking to one person, and none of them at the press conference are anybody that you see at your Tuesday press conferences. Something should have been up, should have waited for everybody. So, I mean, by the time because I'm in the press box, type in this after the Casey Keeler press conference. I'm in the press box typing up my story, and GJ Kinney calls me. He's like, hey, I thought it was weird when there weren't a lot of people there. Let me know if we can talk. And I'm like, my deadline's in 10 minutes, and I'm already basically done typing it. So this wasn't a thing on GJ. But there's a sloppy all around, sloppy on the field, sloppy after the game, sloppy off the field. Didn't like a lot of that. But you know what? Hey, we're gonna be positive. I'm gonna be positive now. That was a lot of negativity, huh? I don't like that. I don't like being negative. It's not my bag. It's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about great things. I want to talk about the Bobcats kicking A, doing great things. But it's unfortunately that's not the situation. After Saturday, it's just not. That's embarrassing. And that's honestly, I look at that loss, and that's on coaching. We talked about penalties earlier, and the two that were by the side, that were right there by the goal line. I mean, that they turned around 2 touchdowns off penalties, 2 fourth down conversions that they didn't get. We didn't even get to the fourth down conversions. Did I skip over the fourth down? There's so much. The fourth down I said I was going to be positive, but I got one more to get to. They went one for 3 on fourth down. They did score a touchdown. Cole Wilson touchdown. He made up for the muff punt, got his touchdown on fourth down. But back-to-back drives ended on turnover on downs. Both of those ended up being touchdowns for Sam Houston State. The first one, chop it up. It's fine. Where they were on the field, it honestly didn't bother me that much. That second one, though, 4th and 1 at your own 24-yard line. don't get it after getting stuffed trying to do the same play. It was a run to Lincoln Perry, stuffed twice on fourth down, give it that ball right back to Sam Houston State. So I don't know. God, stop going for it on fourth down. Stop it. Stop. Take points, punt the ball, trust your defense. God, it's killing them more than it's helping them. It's killing them more than it's helping them. Because even the Cole Wilson touchdown, that's great. Still could have got a field goal there, and I wouldn't have been too upset. There's a lot of times where they don't take the points, and they should, or they don't punt like they did on Saturday, where they should have punted, not taken points, punt that ball. So okay, now we're done. We're done with negativity. Positive, positive. Let's be positive from here on out. Let's talk about the Bobcats. They're 2-2. They're 500. It's in a losing team yet. I don't want to say yet. They won't be a losing team. They're 2-2 on the year. 2 losses, 4 total points in those 2 losses, a 1-point loss and a 3-point loss. That's I say that as a positive, but then it's also kind of a negative because it's like that's how close they were and they should have won those games, but haven't been blown out. No one's beaten the brakes off this team. This is still a very talented team with lots of talent, lots of depth on it. A lot of the mistakes, a lot of the reason for Saturday was a lot of mental mistakes. That's what that was. It wasn't physical. So say this. I'll get to it. I have positives. We'll get to this positive. I like this positive though. And it's my last one I have listed too. But yeah, 4 points and 2 losses. It's not the Kenny Haynes touchdown. Put that one number 2. That's probably pretty high. I loved it. That's a personal one for me. That was great. Shout out to Kenny Haynes. Busting out the old running back style. High school running back, Kenny Haynes. The 60-yard field goal. I know Mason Shipley missed that one field goal, but that 60-yard field goal, that's obviously a school record. That was pretty incredible. I have to really think about it, but I'm pretty sure that's the first 60-yard field goal I've seen live in person. And that was pretty great. He nailed that one. Could have made it from a little further. Jordan McLeod is solid. Solid. Still have one of the best G5 quarterbacks in the country. 1,114 yards passing, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 69.3 percentage. That's on the season. That's through 4 games. He had a great game. I don't know why I didn't write his game stats. Oh, I have it. Luckily, I have it right here. 29 for 39 passing, 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, 74% completion. Rushing, he didn't run a ton. 4 for 17. I'd still say I'd like to see him run a little bit more. I really like when he gets loose. That's one thing I'd like to see this team do as a whole is run more. Because we had 28 rushes to 39 passes. I'd still like to see they get closer to 50-50. But we'll get there. We'll have a little bit more on that. But Jaden Williams, let's talk about Jaden Williams, a new leader in the clubhouse as far as receivers. Jaden Williams, he transferred new guys from Pflugerville initially. It's coming in 22 catches, 292 yards, 3 scores, leading all receivers in yards, Tech State receivers, I should say. Against Sam Houston State, he didn't score, didn't have a touchdown, but he had 10 catches for 133 yards. Pretty solid day for Jaden Williams. That's 3 of 4 games that he's been really solid. It's funny because the one game he wasn't solid was one where I was like, expect him to be solid. In this one, it's against UTSA. Jaden Williams, and after Ashton Hawkins leaves for Baylor, that's a pretty solid consolation to put into that role where he was playing. He's filling in nicely because you still have Cole Wilson and Joey Hobart from last year, and now Jaden Williams has moved into that Hawkins spot. Because then there's Chris Don. He's doing well also. He almost had a touchdown again on Saturday. The pass blocking. Here's a positive. I was really enamored with the pass blocking on Saturday against Sam Houston State. McLeod it felt like a lot of time. It's really with run blocking is a different story. Doesn't seem like the holes are there. I don't know if that's more scheme or what's going on because you see them pass block and you're like, man, they have a very solid offensive line. McLeod, he has time to just step up into the throw. The deep ball, he'll have time to step into it, but then he'll overthrow it a lot. But he has time. That pocket has been pretty clean for Jordan McLeod. And maybe that's something when I'm like, he should run the ball more. Maybe that's a byproduct of that he has really good blocking. And so he doesn't need to run all the time. Let's end it with this. with that whole recap, that was a lot of negativity that I was throwing out at you. Still believe in this team. All is not lost. I don't think this is a 10-win team anymore. I definitely don't think this is a team that should be or will make the college football playoff after two losses, get that G5 slot at the number 12 spot in the playoffs. I don't think that's let's be done talking about that. I'm more worried about a potential Sun Belt conference championship. That is should really be the focus. I didn't like talking about the college football playoff. I didn't talk about it a lot on this pod. I'd see a lot of people talking about it on Twitter. I'd see a lot of people put candidates for or Texas State is my dark horse to make the college football playoff. You'd see that a lot, just in writing and everything. And I didn't like to talk about it because it's like they need to win the conference first before we start talking about anything like that. They don't even get the conference before they have a really embarrassing loss on Saturday. So let's get rid of that. But I still think the Sun Belt Championship is in play. They could still do it if they do it right. Got a favorable schedule in the Sun Belt coming up. I'll say this though, I was discounting a couple teams. I've discounted in fall camp that I take back. I rescind discounting them. Louisiana looking good. Saw that one over Wake Forest, and then ULM. Nice win over Troy, 13-9 win over Troy for ULM. They're 3-1 right now. But Louisiana's got a real good quarterback, Woolridge. So, but I still, even with that, I still think this is a team that they're going to win more games than they're going to lose in the Sun Belt. This is a team that I feel like is talented enough to run the Sun Belt slate that they have in front of them. To go 8-0, I think they have the talent. I don't know if they're sound enough, but I know they're talented enough. They're deep enough, Ben Bell or not. They're still really deep on that front seven. Bryce Bass went in there for Ben Bell, got a sack. That should have been in the positives I put in there. Bryce Bass, number 15, getting on that D line. I mean, if Ben Bell is out for the season, they've got a plethora of guys that'll get in there. Dominic Ratcliffe, I've talked about him a lot. There's a lot of guys. Devin Wright, there's a lot of guys they can put in there and can do some great things. Khalil Alexander, of course, number 22, he was doing good stuff on Saturday as well. So this is a very deep team, and all is not lost. This was an embarrassing loss, and it should be embarrassing. It should leave a terrible taste in your mouth. And for everyone on the Texas State side, you're going to need sulfuric acid to wash that taste out of your mouth after that one, because that was not fun to see how that ended. But all is not lost. This is still a talented team. They're still talented enough to overcome some of these little mistakes and get away with a win. I think Troy on Thursday, this is a team that they're going to beat. They're going to beat them. They're going to get this win on Thursday. They got it. I know they're ticked off. It's got to be ticked off after all of that. Imagine they're going to light a fire and go get it, because this team is still really talented. I think it's on the coaches to lock it in and get accountability for these guys. Penalties, hit the bench. Turnover, hit the bench. None of the extracurriculars. After the game, do the fight song. Come on. Those people traveled to Houston, showed up. That was a good crowd. There were more Texas State fans than there were Sam Houston State fans. And they didn't stick around to honor them and say thanks for coming out and cheering loud. Because they did their part. And I'll end it on this, because we'll keep this one short, because I'll be honest, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't want to talk about Sam Houston. I want to put it in the past. I want to bury it. I'll say this. I want Sam Houston State every year. That's a salty fan group. They're a little mean. Not like aggressive, like they're going to beat you up, but they're a little mean. And I like it. Casey Keeler pulling out the Took Back Texas hat with the Sam Houston State colors. It's a good dig when it hurts. And I saw that picture. I was like, oh, made you crumble. Oh, man. Oh, man. You know what? But look at right here. I still got my Take Back Texas hat. If you're watching on YouTube, Win Now or Get Bent on YouTube, you can see my Take Back Texas hat. I still got it right by me. Still believe in this team. I believe Saturday was really bad. I feel like it highlighted some of the bad that we saw earlier in the season with Lamar and then Arizona State. It showed when it festers and it gets even worse, and the accountability and the discipline gets even worse, then that's the result. It turns out to be a loss for a game you should have won. Should have won. 22-0 after the first quarter. And I love it. I love punching them in the mouth. But again, they've got to just stop filling up on the bread. Wait for the main course. And then you can have dessert after the game. Okay. There you go. I formed that analogy. It took me a minute. That's what happens when you come up with one on the spot. But yeah, don't eat the bread. Okay. There's a whole meal ahead of you. Just think about that with these first quarters. And Connor Fox, 20-yard catch up the seam, tight end up the seam. I'm telling you, some of these, they love to get really cute with this offense. And I like it. It's fun sometimes. It's fun when they do these things. It's great. They got to pepper in some of this traditional football. I feel like they have two talented tight ends. We see Connor Fox that catch. They put in Titus Lyons quite a bit, and they do fun things with Titus Lyons. They'll line him up out wide, and then he'll come in motion like he's coming up, and then it turns right into a block, and he's basically a fullback that's coming out from out wide. I like that. I like that kind of stuff. I feel like you can do some 12 personnel stuff. It may take some time to draw it up. I know, but you have two tight ends that can do some stuff. I feel like Fox is maybe more of a pass catcher than a blocker, although he came in, it seemed like he was going to be more of a blocker. But both can block. I think there's more stuff that they can do. Doesn't have to be so cute all the time. But I'll end it with this one. This is just like the Take Back Texas hat, the Took Back Texas hat that Sam Houston State busted out. Casey Keeler, you dog. I was talking to another person in the Sam Houston State football program. And I won't say their name or anything. It's someone I was just chatting with. And after the game, they hit me with this that stung harder than the hat. He said, "There's a difference between building a roster and building a program." That's something to really think about. That's something to really think about. That's something that I hope these coaches consider. Got the talent, you've built the roster. Time to build the program, build the culture. Can't have 8 guys at the fight song at the end of the game. That's more offensive to me. The press conference stuff, it's fine. That's a miscommunication, it seems. Maybe someone's thinking they're doing the coach a favor by not bringing all these tough questions into that press conference. But that one's not a big deal. But the players not going to the fight song, can't have that. That is the difference in building a roster and building a program right there. So we'll end it there. Bobcats got a lot to do. Still real talented. Still believe in this Texas State team. Still believe in GJ Kinney and what they're doing. I just think it's something we got to take into account as well. He's such a young coach. He's 35 years old. He's got a lot about coaching to learn. He's real good though. He's got a head start on a lot of other people that are his age start in coaching. That's for sure. He's got a great foundation, got to build the house around it. But he's got a lot to learn. And I think the number one thing that he's got to learn is how to discipline these guys. And it's not, oh, you got to run the bleachers after the game. You have to do bear crawls after the game for messing up. No, you take away their PT. You take their playing time. Has to be accountability for that type of stuff. Because the only people who should be running bleachers this week are coaches. That's for sure. All right. This episode was brought to you by TGC LLC, the Galindo Collective.com. That's GALINDO, GalindoCollective.com. A team of professional consultants dedicated to helping others realize their business potential through people, planning, and practice. Their services cover a wide range of areas such as business strategy, marketing, human resources, and financial planning. If you own property or a business and want to maximize its profitability, contact TGC at thegalindocollective.com. That's GALINDO, GalindoCollective.com, and follow their social media platforms on Twitter at TGC_LLC, and on Instagram and Facebook at the Galindo Collective. Shout out to my guy, Rick Galindo, a true Texas State sicko, a Texas State grad. He's been with us since last season, all through this season, and he's even helped us get you to the game with our TGC ticket giveaway. So stay on the ready for that. Next home game, we'll hook you up. But check them out, thegalindocollective.com. That's GALINDO, galindocollective.com. All right, one more for our guys at Chilsea. If you're watching on the YouTube, youtube.com/WinNowOrGetBent, you can see me holding up a Win Now or Get Bent tumbler that was brought to us by Chilsea, CHILLZEY.com. If you order 6 or more of these custom tumblers, you can put any logo you want on there, a Win Now or Get Bent logo, a work logo, whatever you got. You order 6 or more of these, you punch in Bobcats at your checkout. They're $15 a piece, which is an awesome deal. They've also got custom koozies. Bang. If you're watching on YouTube, you see me holding up the koozies. Even got the camo one in the mix, like that camo one. You can get custom koozies from them, any logo you want, any color you want. If you'll be at some home games, I'll be handing out some koozies. I ran into my guy Austin Hunter at the last game, gave him some koozies. Shout out to Austin. I know he hooked our guy up Webb with some Boudin balls that he brought to me, which was pretty cool. You know, out there in East Texas, a little closer to the swamp, so you can get some good ones there. But look for us. We'll be handing out koozies. Win Now or Get Bit koozies brought to us by Chilsea.com. CHILLZEY.com. Shout out to my guy Dennis Redding and his son Bryson, both Tech State sickos. Dennis is a Tech State grad. I know Bryson will be one day. Shout out to them for supporting us, even helping us last year hand out some great koozies for all of you. So check them out. Chilsea.com. CHILLZEY.com. Check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/WinNowOrGetBent. Check out our merch site, WNOGB.com. You can get a sweet shirt like the one I'm wearing. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, you see me holding it up. Got the awesome logo on it. Follow us on Twitter at WinNowOrGetBent, Instagram at WNOGB. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Thank you to First Lockhart National Bank. Thank you to McNabb. Thank you to TGC LLC. And thank you to Chilsea. Big shout out to the Grand Wizard. Oh, wait, not Grand Wizard, the Great Wizard. Oh, man, that might not be a good one. To the Great Wizard, Zachary Webb. He's got the cinematic recap coming up. We're going to have a good one from that Sam Houston State game. So be on the lookout for that. Shout out to my guy, Zach, for always making the pod look great. And thank you to the sickos for always listening. I know it's the real sickos on this one. After a loss like that, it's only the real ones listening. So shout out to all of you for tuning in. I'd be shouting out to the void if it weren't for you. You're the reason I keep coming back here. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Win now or get bent.